Hey Elizabeth, how you doing? Yeah, I thought that was the wrong. I thought that was the wrong copy. So yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at this, and then you can make your adjustments accordingly. Okay, so I think this is too much. I do. I think this color right here is just too much. It's overtaking the composition. I think the viewer has a propensity to kind of lose the fact that these are sound waves inside the letters based on the visual weight of this. This is just stealing all of the hierarchy away from the title page. I love this, as I had mentioned, but I think that we could use a. Honestly, I would use a script face here, and it kind of adds a more of a human connection to Bob Dylan, whether it's his handwriting or not. It's implied that it is, or it's connotatively, it's implying handwriting, which makes a more human connection. So I would recommend going back to that script face. And then also just try to find not that exact same script face that you use, because I think that was a little bit too frail to stand up with the boldness of this typeface. So I would try to find a script face that's a little thicker. Now, since it's a script, you can go ahead and add a stroke to it to thicken it up. I don't recommend ever adding a stroke to traditional letter forms, but script face should be just fine. Okay, let's take a look at the back of the poster. And to do that, I think I'm going to have to, how am I going to do this? Let's see, if I go like this and then like that. Okay, good, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I see is everything's in boxes. Okay, so you're really not activating negative space. Basically, you've got this huge image to the right that's in a box. Then you have this type here that's in a box. Then you have the top of the timeline that's in its own kind of little box. Then you have this over here, bottom of the timeline, which is basically in its rectangular box. So I'm seeing too many boxes. This eliminates harmony, and it kind of creates separation. So each of these components is basically separated from its neighbors by virtue of being placed in boxes. Okay, try to avoid that at all costs. I think that I would activate negative space. I think I might even consider reducing the size of that image, as I think it's just overpowering in the composition. Okay, you don't have to use drop caps on both paragraphs, just the opening paragraph. The second paragraph, you don't even have to indent as long as you have the space between. I would adjust your rags. Definitely want to adjust your rags. Okay, let me see. So, you want to decrease or use old style numerals, or decrease the size of these numerals accordingly, depending on your availability of um, proportional uh, figures in the old style menu. Um, this type is really difficult to read because you're really lacking contrast here. You basically have this kind of purple color on a black background that reduces contrast and makes it very difficult to read. Okay, other than that, I think we're looking pretty good. Oh, guess what? Look at that. That last um, line is out of alignment here. That word galleries is not aligned with published or the other words in the left margin. So you want to adjust that. Okay, N dash. N is in Nancy, and to separate numbers. Um, Old style there, or reduce the size. I'm just looking over at it. Okay, other than that, I think we're looking pretty good. Okay, now the timeline itself isn't designed. All right, basically what you have is you've just taken this and kind of thrown it in there. I don't mean thrown it in there. That sounds derogatory. I don't mean like you just threw it in there. I meant you placed it there to act as a timeline. Now, my recommendation is this no longer um, uh, mimics a sound wave. Let me do something really quick. Hold on. So I just went out to Google and I did an image search. I just said sound wave, and you see all sorts of these. This is cool right here, right? So they're all kind of resembling what you have in the front cover, which that is definitely an altered sound wave. But what I would do is I would create the timeline based on an actual sound wave. So something like that. Okay, I'm trying to find something like that you used. I mean, that would be similar. You don't want to be too different. You want to be really super similar. Here's some interesting sound bars. There's some interesting sound bars. So what I want you to do is I want you to do this visual image search, Google image search on sound wave or sound bars. Get some ideas, and I would like to see you take that sound bar there and just use that for your timeline. Okay, so your sound bar would be the timeline. Then you'll have your years coming off the sound wave. So you take one of these, and I don't mean just stretch it out. I mean really try to design a sound wave similar to this, only that takes up that consumes the length of the timeline. Then go ahead and use that sound wave. So basically what you want to do is you want to design the timeline. So basically what you'll do is you'll take a little marker and go in and point to an area on the sound wave. That's going to indicate a year and a span of chronological listings. Okay, so you don't just place the type above the timeline. You want to mark the timeline so that the viewer has an indication of a time lapse through the chronological events. Okay, it's really an important concept, and I think one that will definitely help um, help the piece. Okay, other than that, I think you're off to a really fantastic start. You're learning a lot, it shows, but just a few little comments here and there. We just have a few little adjustments, some housekeeping tips, housekeeping chores, and I think that we're good to go. So at this point, just please let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. I'll be glad to provide any any needed clarification. I have already gone in and graded this, so you want to definitely go in there and take a look at my notes and grading before you start to assemble your final piece. Okay, great, thanks. Any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you very much.